Hello, YouTube. This is Jay Coder back with another stream here. And so, yesterday I tried to go over Jetpack Compose, but there was some technical difficulties with that stream. So, I'm redoing the stream today, introducing the Jetpack Compose. Hopefully, no issue happens with this one, but we're gonna go ahead and get started very quickly here. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It's right now we're going over Android development videos and a goal to make you a pro Android developer. And remember, guys, Jetpack Compose is a very important thing in Android development, and I hope that you will learn some good things today. Alright, I'm going to go ahead, and what I usually do is I go over the code labs that are directly from the developer.android.com site. So I'm going to go ahead and place this link in the chat just so that you all can be able to follow along as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and mute the music here. And so, all right, Jetpack Compose tutorial. Jetpack Compose is a modern toolkit for building native Android UI. Jetpack Compose simplifies and accelerates UI development on Android with less code, powerful tools, and intuitive Kotlin APIs. In this tutorial, you'll build a simple UI component with declarative functions. You won't be editing any XML layouts or using the layout editor. Instead, you will call composable functions to define what elements you want, and the compose compiler will do the rest. So, lesson 1, composable functions. Jetpack Compose is built around composable functions. These functions let you define your app's UI programmatically by describing how it would look and providing data dependencies. Rather than focusing on the process of the UI construction, initializing an element, attaching it to a parent, etc., to create a composable function, just add the at composable annotation to the function name. So, if you have not already, go ahead and download the Android Studio. And so, what we're going to do is create an app, or I'm sorry, create a new project. And under that new project, we're going to select empty activity, and then we're going to name the app Compose tutorial and click finish. I've actually already done that, so I already have that in my Android Studio. But if you guys are following along and have not done that already, please go ahead and do so. And nowadays, the default compose, or the default empty project, usually contains compose template code, which is good because it should already have the necessary dependencies that it needs in order to work. So, alright, we have done that. And so they start out with a simple text that they call right here inside the set content block called hello world. So we're going to actually go ahead and do that here, and go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my Android Studio shortly here. So alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to go back to my Android Studio. I already have some code in here. It's from yesterday, but I'm going back over it. So right now, just ignore this extra code. I'm gonna go ahead and put what they wanted us to start out with. So I'm gonna comment that guy. I'm gonna put this here. Basically, this is all you need inside your set content file to be able to successfully display something on the screen with Compose. So this is our hello world. And so when we do that, we can go ahead and test out our application. So for instance, I'm going to run it in the emulator. And so this is my emulator right here. And right now I went ahead and ran it. So right now it's compiling. And we're going to go ahead once it loads, and we're going to see exactly um, what happens when we run it. So, okay, so we have the text hello world, and this is all you need to display hello world inside the when you display it inside a set content block, which is inside the on create, and this is inside the main activity. All right, so great. Let us move on. So first, display a hello world text by adding a text element inside the onCreate method. You can do this by defining a content block and calling the text composable function. The set content block defines the activities layout where composable functions are called. Composable functions can only be called from other composable functions. Jetpack Compose uses a Kotlin compiler plugin to transform these composable functions into the app's UI elements. For example, the text composable function that is defined by Compose UI library displays a text label on the screen. Alright, so the next thing that they do is they make a function with the annotation composable right here. So basically, it's a common practice to split up our code and put it into different methods. So you can just go ahead and call this method here message card. And so when you call message card, they pass in to what they want to greet basically. So inside this method, it will say hello, and then this name is the variable that is passed in here. So of course it's going to display this. So let's go ahead and do that real quick so you can see that in action. Let me go ahead and copy this guy, and then we're going to go ahead and go back to our Android Studio. And then inside our Android Studio, we're going to go ahead and paste this guy here, a message card. And so this is what's going to be inside the message card. And so with message card, they make a composable below with the name of the function. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well here. So we go to our Android Studio, and then we go below this method. And then below this method, we have message card, which is this is the message card composable that we are calling here. And so let's see what happens when I go ahead and play it. So all right. So what it is doing is I forgot to delete the text world. But anyway, it's displaying the hello world, and then on top of that, it's displaying again hello Android. So it looks kind of like that because it's overriding each other. I was supposed to go ahead and delete that to update our code to the proper thing that they wanted to show us. I'm gonna rerun it here just very quickly. And then we have the hello world. And of course, we can change this to anything. Instead of Android, I can say hello iOS. And then let's see if that properly updates here in our application. So, all right, hello iOS. So the important thing is this method is taking in a parameter, and a composable method can take in a parameter and be able to use it within the different things it wants to display, which we're displaying a text with using that parameter, and define a composable function. So that's what we define here. Oh wait, so here define a composable function. To make a function composable, add the composable annotation. So that's the composable annotation. And define the message card function, which is passed as a name, and use it to configure the text element. And so now what the important thing is what we have not done yet is use a preview. So right now it says preview your function in Android Studio. The preview annotation lets you preview your composable function within Android Studio without having to build and install the app to an Android device or emulator. So the annotation must be used on a composable function that does not take in parameters. For this reason, you can't preview the message card function directly. Instead, make a second function named preview message card, which calls message card with an appropriate parameter and the app preview annotation before at composable. So this preview is for testing purposes, so that you don't have to, just to see what it looks like, you don't have to necessarily run the app every single time. And this should help you to see the changes in real time. However, it does not take in a parameter, so you're going to have to call it inside this function that does not take in a parameter. Any functions that does take a parameter that you wanted to test the output for, you need to call it within a function that does not take in a parameter, because that's the rule for the preview. And so let us go back to our Android Studio, and then inside our Android Studio we are going to make a preview here. We already have this preview here, but we're going to, for the sake of right now, going to go ahead and ignore this code, and then we're going to go ahead and paste this code in here, where we have the preview of the composable. And then we have the preview message card. Then we have the message card Android here. And so basically what the preview does is, so the preview is not going to display in the emulator. So I'm going to close out the emulator for now. But however, the preview does display in the split screen or the design. Right now I'm in code, So code view, and so in order for us to access the preview, I have to go into split mode or design mode, which design mode is gives us a full screen of the design mode, and split screen shows us the code on the left and the preview on the right. And so right now we have the preview of message passing in Android. And so it will call this down here, and then it should say hello Android, um, which it's kind of dark here, but it does indeed display hello Android when we run this preview right here. So it just displayed there, and it also updates um, automatically as well as we change the code. So we change the code here, and you should see that it dynamically updates the preview as well, which is a feature unique to the Jetpack Compose, which is pretty neat. All right, and then we come back, and now it says rebuild your project. The app itself doesn't change since the new preview message card function isn't called anywhere, but Android Studio adds a preview window which you can expand by clicking on the split design code view. The window shows a preview of the UI elements created by composable functions marked with the preview annotation. To update the previews at any time, click the refresh button at the top of the preview window. Alright, so UI elements are hierarchical, with elements contained in other elements. In Compose, you build a UI hierarchy by calling composable functions from other composable functions. Add multiple text. So far, you've built your first composable function and preview to discover more Jetpack Compose capabilities. You are going to build a simple messaging screen containing a list of messages that can be expanded with some animations. Start by making the message composable richer by displaying the name of its author and con- a message content. You need to first change the composable parameter to accept the message object instead of a string, and other add another text composable inside the message card. Make sure the preview make sure to update preview as well. Alright. So they update this. So basically inside our Android Studio we are using this. So we no longer need this preview, because we already have a preview of our own that we are doing now. And then this message card is not the message card we want to use anymore. And then we want to go ahead and call this message card, which can take in 2 parameters instead of this message card that only takes in 1 parameter. So with this here, it takes in the author and a body, And so they wanted us to make a data class that has an author and a body, and this author and body is passed into the as a parameter into the constructor of the data class. And so down here, basically, they wanted us to update this message card method to contain both an author and a body. However, at first, we don't add this column because column is kind of a new concept. But as you can see, when we go ahead and run the app based on the code that we have so far, we can see that it does display the author and the body. So it's gonna display first Android and then Jetpack Compose. However, the issue is Android is riding directly on top of the the Jetpack is running it directly on top of the Android word. So we don't want to display it like this. We want to display it vertically, one after another, vertically. So in order to display items in Jetpack Compose vertically, you can put them in a column. And a column is something unique to Jetpack Compose, where you call this column block and put the things you want to display inside this column block. So these two texts will be arranged in a way such that it will be aligned vertically. So that's the importance of column. And then when we play that, we get Android and then Jetpack Compose, displayed in a vertical way. So, and also you can use things called row, and which we'll, look at shortly. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually close this guy, and says here. So, we've go here. This code creates two text elements inside the content view. However, since you haven't provided any information about how to arrange them, the text elements are drawn on top of each other, making the text unreadable. Using a column, the column function lets you arrange elements vertically and add column to the message card function. You can use row to arrange items horizontally and box to stack elements. So add an image to the element. So we're basically you're going to download an image. You can either use this one or you can use your own image, but this is an image you can use. And I'll go ahead and post this in the chat too, in case someone needs to download that image in order to follow along. And all right, so basically, once we have that image, I haven't loaded the image in my Android Studio, so let's go through that step. So to add an image, we're gonna add an image locally to our project. So in order to do that, I hit the resource manager here, and then there's a plus right here. I'll go ahead and do import drawable, and then I'm going to, this is the image I downloaded. Then is profile underscore picture. Just gonna go ahead and import that like that. And yeah, so basically I've imported that. And so it says add a row composable to have well-structured design and an image composable inside it. Your message layout has the right structure, but its elements aren't well spaced. Okay, so they want me to go ahead and update the code. And so what they want us to do is inside the row. Okay, so this is going to be our new message card code. Let me see something. So, okay, so basically this code is going to be the code they want us to use so far. So what they are doing is they're wrapping everything inside a row. So this image will be by itself on the first row, and then this column will be on the second row, and then inside the column these will be structured vertically within that same column, these texts right here. And so let me go ahead and get this code here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and go back to our Android Studio. And then inside our Android Studio, I'm going to go to our message card composable. And I'm going to go ahead and update the code appropriately by pasting it there. And then once I update the code, it's going to want us to import some of the dependencies here, so that we need in order to properly run this composable code. Alright, and notice that our profile picture is right here, is what we showed. And so, okay, so they wanted us to go ahead and update it to that. Let me go ahead and refresh this guy, which is our preview. Alright, our image displays nice. It displays successfully there. And so we have the image and then the text there. And then let's also see what it looks like inside the actual application. And then inside the application, we have it displayed here, which the profile picture is a little big and the spacing's not right so far, which we're gonna go ahead and be looking into that here shortly. Alright, so now it says an image. Yeah, we added that, and now it says configure Your layout. Your message layout has the right structure, but its elements aren't well spaced and the image is too big. To decorate or configure a compose uses modifiers. They allow you to change the composable's size, layout, appearance, or add high-level interactions such as making an element clickable. You can you can chain them to create richer composables. You'll use some of them to improve the layout. So they're introducing this thing called modifiers, and then within the modifiers, you will be able to customize the look, pretty much the look and feel of the composable elements. So we're updating this code to go ahead and use our modifier. So let's go ahead and add this to our Android Studio. Then inside our Android Studio, we're going to update this message card method. So let's go ahead and update it to the appropriate code. Alright, so now it has more things that we need to import here. So let me go ahead and import the necessary things. Alright, so within our message card, so this thing should be updating. Alright, we have updated the things appropriately. So we added 8 DP padding all around the row, and then we make this image the size of 40 dp and clip with a circular shape, which in this case we don't have to do like any tricks with like the corner radius or anything to make it look like a circle, whereas there's a built-in function that built-in thing inside Compose that's a circular shape that will help you with creating profile pictures that have this circular shape by default. Well, not by default, but after you add this to the dot clip. And so we add a spacer, 8 dp here, and then inside our column we have, another spacer separating the two with 4 dp. And let's see how our spacing and profile picture look inside the actual application. Alright, so we have this, like the title and the author and the message. So this can be the foundational components of a chat app. where basically you have, who said it and the picture of the person who said it or the avatar, and also you have the actual body of the message. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the lesson. Material design. Compose is built to support material design principles. Many of the UI elements implement material design out of the box. In this lesson, you'll style your app with material design widgets. So here it says use material design. Your message design now has a layout, but it doesn't look great. Jetpack Compose provides an implementation of Material Design 3 and its UI elements out of the box. You'll improve the appearance of our message card composable using Material Design styling. To start, wrap the message card function with material theme created in your project. Compose the tutorial theme as well as Surface. Do it both in the app preview and the set content function. Doing so will allow your composable to inherit styles as defined in your app's theme, ensuring consistency across your app. Material design is built around three pillars: color, typography, and shape. You will add them one by one. Okay. So in this code, let's go ahead and there's a compose tutorial theme they have here. The surface. So inside our set content, they wrap it inside. So when we do the preview, it's wrapped inside the compose tutorial theme and surface. Also, so whenever it's called, they wrap it in those two. So let me go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go back to our Android Studio. And then inside our Android Studio, let's go ahead and go back to our set content. So instead of calling just the message card, they want us to wrap it in a compose tutorial theme and a surface and then call it. Okay, so now we do the same thing for the preview. So for the preview, we're going here and we're going to copy this and then go back to our Android Studio. And then inside our Android Studio, we are going to our actual preview. And then inside our actual preview, instead of calling the message card, I'm going to wrap the message card inside the composable tutorial theme and surface. So we've set it up like how they have wanted it. I need to add one of these. And let me see here if everything is good. All right. I gotta make sure the brackets are right. Seems like there's quite a bit of extra brackets here that is not needed. And then, so let's check if that is okay. All right, so we have this here, and I believe the background and the maybe even the font changed when we wrapped it in those two. And so let's go ahead and go back to our Android Studio. Wrap the message card function with material theme created in your project, compose tutorial theme, as well as the surface. Do it in both the preview and the set content. Doing so will allow your composable to inherit styles as defined in your app's theme, ensuring consistency across your app. Material design is built around those three pillars that we were talking about earlier. Note, the empty compose activity template generates a default theme for your project that allows you to customize material theme. If you named your project anything different from compose tutorial, you can find your custom theme in the theme.kt file and the UI.theme subpackage. Alright. Color. Use material.color scheme to style with colors from the wrapped theme. You can use these values from the theme anywhere a color is needed. This example uses dynamic theming colors defined by device preferences. You can set the dynamic color to false in the material theme.kt file to change this style, the title, and add a border to the image. So let's see here what they have. So they're adding this high preview. So they are adding this border here to have the material theme color scheme, primary, circular shape, and they're adding that to the border. So the border, I'm thinking will have the updated border. So let's go to the Android Studio, and then inside the Android Studio, under the image, we're going to go ahead and add this guy, the dot border, and then the dot border, we need to import some stuff for the border. Alright, so we've imported that, and now it is loading, and now we have a border for our image here, which you can see. It's like kind of a greenish border that surrounds our image. So let us go back to our Android Studio. And then inside this column, they wanted us to add this to our author text. So we're going to go ahead and add this to our author text inside our column. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to our Android Studio. And then inside our Android Studio, let's see, it wanted us to go inside our text. And inside our text, we can go ahead and add more code into it instead of just this text of the author. So we actually, no, that's wrong. So I'm gonna say no. All right. So sometimes I might get confused and think it's Java when it's really the syntax of the actual compose. So be careful not to convert to Kotlin, because that might mess up the if the Android Studio asks you to convert to Kotlin when you're trying to code with the compose code, then don't do it, because it may mess you up. But anyway, so we added the color of this text as the main theme color, which is the same color as this. Or is it the color theme primary? Oh, I'm sorry. It's color scheme secondary. It's a secondary color. So it changed dyslexia to a secondary color. Alright. So we get to use the colors of the theme, the current theme. And then it says typography. Styles are available in the material theme. Just add them to the text composable. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the preview of this. And then I'm going to go here to our column. And then inside our column it says style equals material theme, blah, 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 there. So, for instance, we're going to go ahead and add this to our text inside our Android Studio. We will go over here into our column, and then instead of displaying the color, we're going to add the style here. After this, we got to add a comma there to add the style. And then once we add the style, the typography title, small. And so it's the title, small. And then after that, it wants us to add this code to our body text, which will add a style of body medium to the typography. So let us go back and then go back to our actual, let me see. So yeah, we're going to go inside our text here and pass another perimeter. That's going to be the style. And also when you add a perimeter to these texts, remember to do a comma. And then we're passing the style here. And then, so it's going to be a body medium. So that's how they want it to look here. All right. And then shape. With shape, you can add the final touches. First, wrap the message body text around a surface. Composable. Doing so allows customizing the message body's shape and elevation. Padding is also added to the message for a better layout. So let's go ahead and hide that guy. And so what it wants us to do is they want us to add to the surface these parameters: shapes, medium, shadow, elevation, and stuff. So we add this to our surface. So let's go to our Android Studio. And then inside our Android Studio, we will go to our surface. All right. So this is the surface. Gonna surround this. So this text is not, looks like it's not already surrounded by a surface. So we're gonna go ahead and add the surface to it, to wrap it in the surface. So let's go ahead and copy this whole line. Then we're gonna go copy. And then we're gonna go to Android Studio. And then inside this text, want us to add this a surface here. So we're wrapping the text inside a surface. And so, all right. And then what else? I wanted us to add padding to the modifier. So we have a modifier here. I'm gonna go ahead and close this. Go ahead and add the modifier, and then add a comma there. All right. So, all right. So it looks like there's like a border, like a chat bubble on this thing now. And then also, let's see what it looks like inside the emulator as well. All right. All right. Then enable dark theme. Says dark theme or night mode can be enabled to avoid a bright display, especially at night, or simply to save the device battery. Thanks to material design support, Jetpack Jetpack Compose can handle the dark theme by default. Having used material design colors, try I'm sorry, design colors, text and backgrounds will automatically adapt to the dark background. You can create multiple previews in your file as separate functions or add multiple annotations to the same function. Add a new preview annotation, enable night mode. So, alright. So with this, they want us to go ahead and add this guy, a preview, and I'm going to copy that. And then we're going to go ahead and add this to our Android application. So we're going to add this here. And then we have a preview, name light mode. Then we have to adjust this configuration. So probably this one, I'm thinking. All right. So when we added that configuration, it automatically displayed it in light mode and dark mode. And we have, so let me see. We comment out that guy. Preview not found. So we do need this guy in order for it to successfully display. So, alright. Name, light mode, name, dark mode. So to change it to light mode, just need to set the light name. Alright, that's interesting. Alright, so yeah. Color choices for the light and dark themes are defined in the IDE generated theme.kt file. So far, you've created a message UI element that displays an image and two texts with different styles, and it looks good both in light and dark themes. Lists and animations are everywhere in apps. In this lesson, you will learn how Compose makes it easy to create lists and fun to add animations. So, what we have is create a list of messages, a chat with one a chat list of messages. A chat with one message feels a bit lonely. So we are going to change the conversation to have more than one message. You'll need to create a conversation function that will show multiple messages. For this use case, use Compose's lazy column and lazy row. These composable render only the elements that are visible on screen, so they are designed to be very efficient for long lists. In this code snippet, you can see that lazy column has an items child it takes a list as a parameter, and its lambda receives a parameter we've named message. We could have named it whatever we want, which is an instance of message. In short, the lambda is called for each item of the provided list. Copy the sample dataset into your project to help bootstrap the conversation quickly. So, copy the dataset. So let's go ahead and hide this really quick. So let's see. There's a method called conversation and sample data dot conversation. Okay. They want us to add this. Well, actually, let me see. Where? Okay. Alright. Well, I'm going to be breaking up this tutorial into several parts, and we'll go ahead and dive into this section of create a list of messages tomorrow. So or the next stream, I mean. So go ahead and stay tuned and stay subscribed so you won't miss a beat. And that Jetpack is a modern way to develop an Android at the moment, and a lot of companies are moving towards it, and including Google are wanting people to move towards it as well. So we're on in an important subject matter, so continue to stay tuned, and I encourage you to always stay coding. All right, have a wonderful